Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another comedy and drama night. Tonight, I will be reviewing Porky's from 1981, written and directed by Bob Clark, starring Dan Monahan, Mark Harrier, Wyatt Knight, Roger Wilson, Cyril O'Reilly, Tony Ganios, Kaki Hunter, Kim Cattrall, Nancy Parsons, Scott Colomby, Boyd Gaines, Doug McGrath, Susan Clark, Art Hindle, Alex Karras, Chuck Mitchell, and Eric Christmas. Now, I have talked about Bob Clark in my previous reviews with Black Christmas and my more recent review of Dead of Night. And I mentioned in those about Porky's. And Wild Stripes, which I just reviewed on the channel recently, did a raunchy comedy prior to this. This was the first teen-related raunchy comedy, and it, generated multiple films and started basically its own genre of films with the raunchy teen comedies. But whereas a lot of those imitators and films that came later didn't get what made Porky's work, Bob Clark directs this fairly unknown cast of Dan Monahan as Pee Wee Morris, Mark Harrier as Billy McCarthy, Wyatt Knight as Tommy Turner, Roger Wilson as Mickey Jarvis, and Cyril O'Reilly as Tom Cavanaugh, and of course Tony Ganios as Meat Toparelli. And of course you have their little girl in the group with Kaki Hunter as Wendy Williams. They just work so well as a group together, and Bob Clark writes the dialogue for all these characters that makes them so fun and so interesting. Yes, they're sex maniacs, but they're teens. And technically, probably most of these actors playing in this weren't really teens at the time, but they were playing teens. And that was the trend for how most of these films were made. They would get, 20, 25-year-olds to play teens in here. But that's not an issue because most of these guys don't look like they're that old. They look the character. And Dan Monahan as Pee Wee Morris is just such, and most of the plot revolves around him wanting to get laid as a character. So it is such a interesting and fun film, just watching him and watching his friends with Billy, Tommy, Mickey, and Meat, and to a lesser extent Tim. They're just such interesting characters. And Kaki Hunter is so cute as Wendy Williams, the only female in that group that's actually a part of the group there. You also have Scott Colomby, but he is playing the character of Brian Schwartz, and he's good too, but he is not given as much screen time as the rest of the group, but he's kind of a part of the group as well. And then you have these other fun characters such as Boyd Gaines and Doug McGrath as these coaches, Roy Brackett and Fred Warren. And of course, you have Kim Cattrall as Miss Lynn Lassie Honeywell. that is priceless humor right there. And to Kim Cattrall's credit, she plays it so good that she just makes you laugh out loud.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Very well done by all of those actors in here. And then, of course, you have Roger Wilson, Mickey Jarvis's older brother, played by Art Hindle, Ted Jarvis. And he is such a cool big brother character that you just absolutely love him in there. And then, of course, you have your villains of the story, which are Alex Karras as Sheriff Wallace and Chuck Mitchell as Porky, his brother. They don't start off the villains of the film until Pee-wee and the rest of the group venture to Porky's to try and get laid. But once they are there, they cross Porky and upset him. And of course, Alex Karras's sheriff is, completely corruptible by his own brother, Porky, who's running this big establishment at this whorehouse. And it is just, even the villains are interesting, even though they are kind of, you don't like them, but they have such charisma about them that they make their characters very likable, even though they are the bad guys, especially Chuck Mitchell as Porky. And then you have Eric Christmas playing Mr. Carter. Now, this older guy playing this principal character, he is so good. He's such a proper gentleman, but the moments where the kids are playing pranks or doing stuff, you see that he actually gets a kick out of it himself, but he tries to hide it. So he is such a cool character. I just love Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter is such a really cool older character in there. Like I said, all the older characters are just as interesting as the younger characters. But Eric Christmas was just a standout in here. I just love the way he talks, the way he acts, how proper he is, but how tickled he gets with the things that the kids do. So, in case you haven't noticed, I absolutely love Porky's from 1981. So my final review of this film, I am going to give Porky's a 10 out of 10. To me, this is the perfect comedy. Even if it wasn't a raunchy comedy, it would still be a perfect comedy to me because of how well written and well acted it is. Very, very great comedy film. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my review? Do you disagree? Let me know in those comments down below what you think of Porky's. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan. Well, that's the end of another Comedy and Drama Night. If you missed last week's Comedy and Drama Night, check out the link above. Or if you missed any of the videos during Comedy and Drama Night, check out this playlist and get caught up on anything you've missed.